Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined today by my hacking co-host. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
I am personally dumbfounded with the weekend of football we saw because I don't think there's anybody in the world right now who could properly predict what's happening in the NFL. I mean, the Chargers lost to the Seahawks.
I am beginning to think the Seahawks are no joke. And we all thought they were going to be awful.
The Buccaneers lost to
the worst team in football.
The tanking Carolina Panthers. And
obviously, they're not tanking.
Did not lose.
I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't see a team play with more intensity than the Carolina Panthers did yesterday.
I mean, it was a spanking.
I have never seen a team play with that much intensity. They played like that was their Super Bowl.
Aaron Rodgers lost to Taylor Heineke.
You know what? I thought Brady looked bad. Look at fucking Rodgers.
I mean, shit.
My God.
It was...
We're going to go through each game, though, and let's start with the fucking Lions.
Let's start with the
fucking Lions. Yes, just like your shirt. You know, they come out. Don't even get me started on officiating. Officiating was fucking atrocious. It was atrocious. I see a guy get body slammed by a fucking linebacker from Dallas. No flag, no. He picked him up and literally body slammed him, and no flag. Well, and the roughing the passer calls, I don't even want to go there. I'm not even going there. We know what a joke the NFL is right now. All plays should be reviewable. Every fucking play needs to be reviewable. It is to a point where the bad calls are costing teams games. It has to be reviewable. Every play needs to be reviewable.
Well, the Cowboys bested the Lions 24-6 at home.
They were at home, and they had the advantage. Detroit was up 6-3 at the half.
Well,
they played a really good half. The defense stepped up. They got some punts going. The offense was a little shaky at best, but they stayed in it. And then in the second half, Jared Goff from last year showed up.
Well, Goff was 21 for 26, 228 yards, 80% passing, 2 picks, sacked 5 times. I had a feeling that was going to be the case against the Cowboys.
Yeah, but the wheels didn't come off till the fourth quarter.
I'm aware.
They played a good half, and they can just not sustain 4 quarters of football.
Jamal Williams averaged over 5 yards per carry. He had 79 yards on 15 touches, but he fumbled the ball twice. Point blank, this is how exactly.
Guy never fumbled in his career, and he fumbles twice yesterday.
Is that unbelievable? Exactly how I thought it was going to go. Obviously, you and I both picked the Cowboys in this game.
Yeah.
The one thing that I did do was when I was formulating our picks the other night, I was sitting there and I was like, God, who do I think is going to have a really nice game? And I said that Ezekiel Elliott was one of my boom players for this week. And thank God he got 2 touchdowns, 15 carries, 57 yards, and 2 tuds for Ezekiel Elliott. Point blank, the Lions defense cannot stop the run. We said it on the show on Wednesday.
We knew that going.
We knew this. And
you know what? Shame on Mike McCarthy. The first half of that game was fucking atrocious. They did not run the football at all. Then they come out in the third quarter and ran it down their throat. Mike McCarthy is an utter fucking limp penis. I don't even know what other way to put it at. He fucking sucks. So he deserves to be fired. I'm being honest with you. Even though they won, he deserves to lose his job. And let me tell you something. I'm officially off the Dan Campbell wagon. This fucking clown cannot fucking make a decent call in a game. He cannot manage a football game.
No.
He cannot. He's a great guy. I get it. I'd love to go drink beer with him. But as the Detroit Lions head coach, he is not the fucking guy.
No, he's not.
He's not the fucking guy.
We're starting.
It needs to stop.
We're starting to
because
see it now.
Once again, There's plays on the field that this guy should be in the face of the referees, throwing challenge flags when he should be, and he doesn't. And it needs to fucking stop.
Great leader.
Needs to fucking stop.
Great leader, great advocate for the player, not a football coach.
He's
period.
not a fucking football.
He's not a football coach. And I think now we're at the point in the year. I mean, we're going into week 8 next week, where we could start. You could start.
We're halfway, dude, and this clown's cost him at least 3 games this year.
I mean, we're sitting here. The Lions are now 1-6, 1-5.
Listen to
no,
me.
we're in week 7.
He's
they're on a
2-11
bye
on the road.
Huh?
He's 2-11 on the road.
Lifetime. Okay.
He needs to go.
We can officially write the Lions off at this point. That's it.
Well, I don't know about write them off because
we can write them off.
I still think that they're going to win a game here, a game or two that they shouldn't.
Yeah, but I mean, God bless them if they win 2 more games all year.
What is it going to be to save his job? It needs to fucking stop. Listen, here's the thing: they had opportunities to hire an experienced head coach. Actually, they got more of an opportunity now if they would get rid of him now. What are you going to do? Are you going to go forward with him and let him finish out the year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I guess you could do that.
You want to know what will happen if you fire him now?
Sheila Hemp, whatever her fucking name is, Ford, just marijuana, whatever. Go pull up, call Sean Payton, back up the fucking Brinks truck to his house, offer him whatever he wants to bring him here. Get a fucking experienced head coach in here that knows how to fucking win football games. I'm tired of this same bullshit year after year after year. They hire the new coordinator. They hire a defensive coordinator. They hire a fucking tight ends coach. Get a fucking head coach in here. Stop already. Stop the madness.
If you fire him now, I think you'd lose the team because
I'm going to be honest with you. He's going to lose the team before the end of this year.
You think so?
I truly believe so. Well, he lost him the second half of that game. He lost him.
It was just awful.
He lost him in the Patriot game. Should we even go forward with it? I think he's already lost him.
Well, this is going to be the true. Granted, the Cowboys. I said it this week. Everybody thinks their defense.
Listen, they
is
should
some
have
sort of a
beat that.
cakewalk.
They should have beat the Cowboys. This is ridiculous. It's bullshit.
Well, they're going to get spanked by Miami next week, most likely, and then
like I said before, they're going to win a game they have no business winning. That might be one of them. It's either that game or the Buffalo game that they have no business even being in.
Listen to
and
me.
They'll pull it out.
It will not be the Buffalo game.
They'll win 3 fucking games this year. And what do? Bring this clown back next year? Bring him back? Bring Brad Holmes back? I'm going to point a finger right now. I'm going to point at Brad Holmes. You did nothing in free agency to shore up that defense. And when you knew it was fucking bad. And then you changed defenses from last year to this year. You didn't have the fucking talent on that side of the ball. You changed fucking defenses. These guys are trying to learn on the fly. I don't blame them. I blame the coaching and I blame the GM.
Well, they play Miami next week. They'll get spanked. And then they play Green.
Everybody going to point the finger at Aaron Glenn again? The defense wasn't the issue yesterday. It was the fucking offense.
Well, no, the defense is the issue every week because they can't stop anybody.
You know what? The defense, for the most part, are they good? No,
they're awful.
But they did enough to probably win that game yesterday. You can't turn the fucking ball over fucking 3 times in the second half and expect to be in a game.
I don't understand how you go from scoring 40 points a week
to not being able to score a touchdown in the last 2 games.
Then, you can't score a single touchdown in 2 games. It's awful. Something needs to change. I don't know what the answer is yet. If they come back home,
Dak Prescott was 19 of 25 for 207 yards and a touchdown. He couldn't hit the fucking broadside of a fucking barn yesterday.
CeeDee Lamb had 70 yards on 4 receptions. It's typical.
He had 70
Lions
of the 200 yards that he had. Give me a fucking break, dude.
We're officially at the SOL.
He couldn't hit the broadside of a fucking barn yesterday.
The SOL point in the season where everybody drank the Kool-Aid just long enough to...
Whatever. They should have won that game yesterday. Shame on them. Shame on them. You know what? Dan Campbell cost them fucking 3 games already this year, and he's going to continue to do the same stupid shit. And I don't even want him to point the finger. Oh, my quarterback threw 2 picks. My fucking running back fumbled twice at the 1. Well, I don't even want to hear it, dude. It's the same fucking excuse week after week. I don't even want to fucking hear it. You want to know why? Because let me tell you something. The 2 New York teams that were absolutely a shit show and probably worse than the Lions, not roster-wise. I'm not going to say roster-wise, but both of those teams are fucking playing at a high level with new coaches.
I mean,
both of them,
damn.
the fucking Giants, okay, whose roster wasn't as bad as Detroit's. No, I don't think so.
But they're
they were
6-1.
They were right there, and these guys are playing lights out.
6-1.
Daniel Jones looks like fucking Fran Tarkenton running around out there. This fucking guy is doing everything for his team to win. What is Jared Goff doing? Jared Goff is laying an egg. And I'm going to tell you something. Jared Goff was fucking awful yesterday. It was Jared Goff of last year again. That tentative fucking no will to win yesterday. And I don't like that shit about him. Can they win 6, 7, 8 games with him? Yes. Are they going to go further than that? No.
Well, so you're off the golf train now.
It's not that I'm off the golf train. Let's be realistic. If you want to win 7, 8 games, can you win football games with Jared Goff? Yes. Are they going to go further into the playoffs? No. No, they won't. Because they're never going to have a roster like the Rams team had.
I don't disagree with anything you said. It's not fun to talk about them. It's over. It's over. It was hopeful,
Yeah,
and then yesterday just sucked the life out of you if you are a Detroit
hard
Lions
knocks.
fan.
Yeah, what
Hard.
you need a hard knock to the head just to watch them. Fucking awful.
The life was sucked out of me yesterday as well, because I had to sit there and watch a team who just fired their head coach, a team who traded away their probably best player in franchise history. Welcome in Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and absolutely, positively bend them over and just lay a dicking on them. It was awful. The Panthers beat the Bucs 21-3. The Buccaneers, that was Brady's first, what was this fucking stat? First time in 2 years not having a touchdown pass.
I'm going to tell you just like this. That game was the worst defensive game I've seen the Buccaneers play in 2 years.
Yeah. Hands down.
2 years. They could not stop the fucking run.
Well, they couldn't run.
You let a guy go for $118 on you, Foreman. They went for almost 200 yards on the ground against probably one of the better run defenses in the NFL. Yep. And they got it ran down their throat.
Before Chuba got hurt, he ran for 63 yards, 9 attempts. They were averaging 7 yards per carry against him. It was awful. And I keep watching them drop balls. Mike Evans, there's nobody within 20 yards of him, just simply dropped a wide open touchdown pass. And everybody's ready to say, oh, now this is it. Brady's washed. Brady doesn't have it. Brady's washed.
You know what? The best thing that'll happen for him is people believe that.
Well, I know, because I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm watching Pro Bowl receivers not do their job. Leonard Fournette looks completely out of sorts. The offense,
it's not that. The offensive line is horrible.
They have one of the worst offensive lines in football. It's probably like them.
If not the worst.
I mean, it was fucking.
When have you ever seen Tom Brady 2 of 12 for third down efficiency?
Never.
When have you ever seen
Never. That? Because they're not.
Bullshit. Listen, they can't protect him. They cannot run the fucking football, so they have no balance. So here you got a 50-year-old quarterback throwing 49 fucking times in a game.
I mean, it's fucking
He
awful.
doesn't need to be doing that. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. P.J. Walker threw the ball 22 times.
And they put up 21 points. Well, yeah. I mean,
2 times.
Chuba
He
Hubbard.
had 16 completions.
Hubbard and Foreman combined for, like you said.
Yards.
Yeah.
Almost 180
and
yards.
Chuba went out. Chuba had 65 yards and went out, I think, in the third quarter. It was
DJ
fucking,
Moore had a couple great catches. That one touchdown catch was fucking unbelievable. It was the best catch he's ever made in his career.
Tommy Tremble pulled in that nice
Tommy
touchdown
Tremble, and
catch,
nobody even knows who Tommy Tremble is.
Yeah. I mean,
it's what it is. Listen, they played with more intensity than I seen any team play with yesterday. I was enamored by it. It reminded me of teams that were playing back in the 80s and 90s. The intensity they were playing with and the physicality. That's something that these teams don't do anymore. And then that's the reason why they fucking won this game. It's because everybody wrote them off, and these guys got a chip on their fucking shoulder and are finally playing hard.
Do you want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
I don't see how they come back from this. I don't see how the Buccaneers find a way to right this.
What are you throwing the dirt on him?
I'm not
throwing the dirt on
I'm
the
not
Buccaneers?
throwing the dirt on him.
On the Buccaneers. You throwing the dirt on the Buccaneers?
On this season. I think I'm throwing the dirt. It's so bad now.
You realize they're still in contention. Their division is nowhere
their division
near
is fucking awful.
clinched.
But
They can still clinch your division.
I don't see how it gets better. And when I say throw the dirt on them, I'm not saying, make a playoff appearance and then get schmacked by Philly.
They did not come out with any intensity yesterday. That's coaching. Todd Bowles is not the fucking answer. Todd Bowles is not the fucking answer. You need to just put him at defensive coordinator. Let Brian Leftwich be the coach from here on out.
Guess what? They're not calling the offense well either. The problem is honest to God, you go pull Bruce Arians out from whatever hole he's in and bring my man back.
He's sitting in the front office.
It clicked. It clicked with him. It ain't clicking right now. It's not working. It's not working.
With you, I don't think he'd come back.
I don't think he would either. And as upsetting to me as that is, I just don't think this team is good enough.
How could you take a team that we thought that would at least, if not run the table, be there right at the end, win their division easily, and now they're fucking struggling.
There was one point you and I
even get there.
You and I both said this team would go 17-0.
It was a possibility that they could have. I knew there would be a couple of games in there that would be iffy, but not to this fucking point. They're awful. They're awful right now. The offensive line's awful. The defense kind of gave up, that is an unlike thing for a Tampa.
You want to know what they look like right now? They look like
Lions?
Well, yeah, yesterday they did, but they look like.
Listen, as bad as they were yesterday, Tom Brady still doesn't look as bad as Jared Goff.
I agree with that, but they look like his last year in New England.
Yeah,
it's that there's nobody there to catch the ball. The guys you expect to do it are playing extremely poorly. I mean, and they have no offensive line help, and
Mike Evans had 9 catches for 96 yards. I don't know what.
Yes,
and he was on one leg. He hurt himself now.
But
you don't know what's going to happen.
He dropped before that.
Yeah, the
first drive of the game.
Yeah.
And at this point in the year, when you're a 3-3 team coming in, you as one of the leaders of that team can't be making those mistakes. You cannot do it. Period. Because that cost them their play. The play of the Godwin, Fournette, and Evans is going to cost them the season, period. They're not focused. And everybody who wants to give Brady shit right now for taking Wednesdays off, for not going to camp, for going to Robert Kraft's wedding on a Friday night. No, it needs to be said now.
The pink elephant in the room is the offensive line. They didn't address it, and they just went forward with it. That's it. And that's why they're fucking losing.
They need to stop
Nothing
and address
they can
it
do.
now.
It's too late in the season to fucking bring guys in. Unless they're going to make some miraculous trades here and shore up that offensive line.
The next game I want to talk about is the Chiefs at the 49ers. The Chiefs ended up putting 44 points up on a very stout San Francisco defense. And Jimmy Garoppolo looked okay at best. Christian McCaffrey, the 49ers' new toy, got involved a little bit. George Kittle had a nice game. Deebo Samuel stayed silent for the most part. But I think the big exclamation point here for me is the fact that the Chiefs managed to put up 44 against the San Francisco defense.
Well, you had Juju Smith-Schuster.
The guy you dropped 2 weeks ago. 7 receptions on 8
the
targets.
game of his career.
125 yards and a touchdown.
I don't think he's ever had a game that good.
For Schuster. Valdez-Scantling, 3 receptions, 111 yards.
Here's the bad thing. When you had a wide receiver score 2 touchdowns running the football, that will tell you where the Chiefs at. They're still one-dimensional. They did not use Pacheco like they said they were going to do. They were still using Edwards-Helaire as the third down guy. And all they did was went pass heavy. They went pass heavy.
Yeah, Mahomes
17 yards passing.
Yeah, Mahomes threw the ball 34 times, 3 touchdowns, a pick, a sack.
There you go.
QBR of 132. On the other side of the ball,
and I'm going to say this: the 49ers, they did not commit to the run. And they did not commit to the run like they normally do. They only had 100 yards rushing. Normally, they have more yards rushing than they do passing. Jimmy Garoppolo cannot throw the ball 46 times and expect for them to win. That's not going to fucking happen. I'm sorry, 37 times.
He did throw for
Jimmy Garoppolo cannot throw for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have a pick 37 times. They are not going to win with that formula.
Did Garoppolo get hurt? I missed the tail end of that.
I don't think so. I think at one point it was so far out of fucking reach.
They threw Brock Purdy in there.
Yeah, they threw Brock Purdy in there because I think the game was so far out of reach. Because they had a couple of turnovers that just destroyed them.
Garoppolo, 25 completions, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. He was sacked 5 times, which that in itself, I mean, the Chiefs' defense doesn't come off the board and slap you in the face as a team that's going to sack you 5 times in a game. But McCaffrey, 38 yards in his debut. Kittle, 98 yards and a touchdown. Ray McLeod, 4 receptions, 65 yards and a touchdown. Ayuk went for 82 yards. Debo, like I said, was pretty quiet for the most part.
They were keying on him. They kept rolling coverage toward him. There was really nothing he was going to be able. They took him out of the game.
I mean, the one thing that we can take away from this, I think, is, to me, this game really solidified up how good the Chiefs were, because I had a lot of respect for San Francisco's defense coming in. And the other takeaway is, once Christian McCaffrey has a couple games to acclimate into this offense and they figure out a way to utilize all the weapons they have, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Ray McLeod, and Christian McCaffrey together, once they find a way to get that harmonious, they're going to be a good football.
They're going to be dangerous.
Yeah. This was game 1 for McCaffrey, and he averaged 4.5 yards per carry. So I'll take it. The 49ers, to me, right now, even coming off of a loss by 20 points, I think they might be favorite in their division, at least.
Yeah, in their division.
And they might, I think once this thing starts clicking, I mean, Tampa's now a non-factor. Green Bay's now a non-factor.
Well, you're going to have some different
might
teams.
Come down to
you're going to have different
Philly.
teams up there in the top. You know, in the NFC, you still got the Vikings. You still got the Eagles. Vikings are 5-1.
Vikings are a non-entity.
Eagles are 6-0 still. Don't sleep on Seattle.
Come on, dude.
The scumbag-led Seattle Seahawks. Don't sleep on them.
Sit here and talk about Seattle as a playoff contender.
Listen to me. If Geno Smith can continue to play the way he's playing, he dropped a dime on this Godwin yesterday. I was like, holy shit. Goodwin, not Godwin. Goodwin. That I was really impressed with. He's no punk. I always thought he was a punk, but I guess not.
84% of employers agree that offering financial wellness tools can help reduce employee attrition. Is your small business providing enough benefits and financial wellness tools to its employees? Matt Lenhart and his team at Insignia Financial Company want to help you make sure you are doing everything you can to keep your employees financially healthy. Give Matt a call today at 734-744 9607 for a complimentary consultation or retirement plan review to make sure you are putting your best foot forward and keeping your employees first. His name is Matt Lenhart at Insignia Financial Company, and that number again is 734-744-9607. Give Matt a call. Your employees will appreciate it, and he will definitely give you the best consultation he can. Security and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated is separately owned, and any other entities or marketing names mentioned here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that game that I thought that was pretty much the Joe Burrow coming out party.
My God.
He was fucking amazing yesterday.
Joe Burrow, 32 for 42 and 3 touchdowns in a game against the Atlanta Falcons where the Bengals came out on top 35-17. They didn't need to run the ball, so Mixon had 17 attempts for 58 yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 8 receptions, $130 and 2 tuds, because you know if Joe Burrow has 481 yards, at least 100 of those are going to Jamar Chase. Tyler Boyd, though, 8 receptions, 155 yards, and a touchdown. That is his biggest game of the year to date. And T. Higgins didn't get let down either. 5 receptions, 93 yards. Everything.
Got 3 receivers almost going for 100 yards apiece.
Yeah.
That's
everything fired.
That's amazing.
For them. And he's only sacked 3 times, which for Joe Burrow, that's like
that's
best
like
case scenario. He also had a rushing touchdown.
He was amazing yesterday.
The other side of the ball,
he showed everybody he's still one of the top guys in this league.
Didn't you say Falcons cover this game?
I believe I did pick the Falcons to cover this game.
Yeah.
The Falcons were unable to run the football, which was surprising against them. I mean,
this was one of my
They put
takes.
100 yards on them where they've been putting like close to 200 on everybody else.
Yeah, and this was one of my takes from this game. Atlanta hasn't played. Everybody overlooks Cincinnati's defense. Again, it was the same thing last year. That defensive front looks very, very nice, and they did a great job yesterday. They kept Algiers to 3 yards per carry, Huntley to 3.7 yards per carry. It was nice. I will say this much. I think they still have a few holes on that defense. To me, personally, they're getting there still. And at this point in the year, the teams that I feel like are still getting there and ain't got it clicking yet worry me a little bit. And Cincinnati does worry me a little bit.
Well, I think you've seen them,
but
they were very good yesterday.
They looked very good yesterday. And
I listen, Atlanta's defense isn't a juggernaut either. And they looked pretty good.
No, we saw it. We saw what we
offense,
needed to see out of Atlanta yesterday to put them in their place now a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it got cute. They looked good. They, gave some people some games that you didn't think they would. Like, when they beat San Francisco.
Come down to what we thought they were going to be right from the beginning.
Correct, yeah. They're right back into their place a little bit more now. In one of my favorite games of the weekend, the Tennessee Titans beat the Indianapolis Colts 19-10.
That was a really hard-fought game.
You picked Tennessee in that one, so congratulations to you.
I did?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I'll tell you this much. I actually enjoyed watching this football game, and I don't know why, because nothing all that exciting really happened, but Indianapolis was right there the whole time, right? It was like they needed to reach out and grab it, and they couldn't.
Opportunities to grab this game. Matt Ryan did everything he could possibly do.
Yeah, and I mean,
throwing to guys that are obscure that nobody even knows who they. Paris Campbell, 10 catches, 70 yards and a touchdown. Paris Campbell, I don't even remember hearing his name the last 2 weeks.
I mean, they're doing it with absolute nothing, and
I don't know.
I mean,
they only ran the ball for 65 yards total.
I know.
Total.
Matt Ryan, 44 attempts, 243 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, sacked 3 times. Jonathan Taylor, 10 rushes, 58 yards. Don't know what's going on with him. Don't know what's going on with him.
He's hurt. He's not healthy.
Wow. Then they need to just sit him down and give him.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do without him? It would have been even more of a fucking shit show.
See, I don't think so. I don't think
don't
so.
know.
At this point, he's not that effective. That Deion Jackson
Listen,
kid was effective while he was out.
Opportunities to take this game, and they
Yes,
couldn't do it.
they did. They did. As far as Tennessee goes, though, I mean, Tannehill didn't do anything inspiring to put the game away. Derrick Henry ran the ball 30 times. There you go.
Well, that's all they needed.
They threw 32 times, and
they
Derrick
needed
Henry
to
ran the ball
ball.
30 times. And if they just keep
Perfect
doing
balance.
that, right? If they keep doing that, they will win games. Nobody really had a fabulous game receiving wise. Tannehill, 132 yards on 13 completions with no picks, no tuds. He was sacked twice. That's pretty much what you need Ryan Tannehill to go in there and do. Tennessee's defense stepped up yesterday for probably the first time I've seen them play like really good all year.
They got a few guys back that were not playing prior, but Dupree is back.
Yep.
There's a few other guys that are back too that they really missed on defense.
And that puts Tennessee at a 4-game win streak going into Houston next weekend. And
Houston's no joke. You know, people think Houston's a fucking pushover. They're no pushover. They're tough.
we'll get to that.
They're
but
tough.
that gives them a 4-game win streak going into Houston. And I mean, right now, they beat up on the Colts, and I know they still play Jacksonville twice. So
It's not going to be an easy game for them.
that's an interesting division right now.
There's one game I'd like to talk about.
Go ahead.
If we're done here.
Go ahead.
The next game coming up that I want to talk about.
Have at it.
Aaron Rodgers. How the fuck did this guy win an MVP last year? He's been fucking... Listen,
Because of Devontae Adams.
I think if there's one guy that doesn't have anybody to throw to right now, it's fucking Aaron Rodgers. Because Alan Lizard went out hurt yesterday, and they were fucking awful. You know who their leading receiver was yesterday? Aaron Jones. 9 receptions, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I know.
He only had 23 yards rushing. And you know what?
AJ
God
Dillon.
bless Taylor Heineke.
Oh God, dude.
Because you know what? I made the call here on
Yes, you did.
the other day
Yes, you did.
that he was going to come out, give this team some fire, and that this team was going to upset the Packers. And that's exactly what the fuck happened. It started out a little shaky. He threw that pick early, and everybody was like, oh, my God, they're going to fucking lose. And no, my man gutted it out. Terry McLaurin got
Terry McLaurin
reemerged
looked
as a
fabulous
fucking wide
yesterday.
receiver.
He really did, man.
You can't have a talent like this and not throw the fucking football to him.
I know.
Carson Wentz.
He looked
And
fabulous.
he looked good.
Antonio Gibson.
5 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown for McLaurin. And I'm going to tell you what, not only Gibson, but this
Brian Robinson.
This Brian Robinson kid, he's got some talent. I'm telling you what, he's going to be the guy there next year. I truly believe he's going to take Gibson's job easily.
There's a lot of talk right now that Gibson this week could be traded to the Rams. So we need to keep an eye on that one.
But
and possibly
really,
in a swap for Cam Akers.
I was really impressed.
Curtis Samuel
Heineke.
ran the ball 5 times.
Yeah.
Is that the new Debo? Is Curtis Samuel the new Debo Samuel?
That's it. Well, I wouldn't do that because you're going to get that poor kid killed.
Yeah.
He's a little guy. You're going to get him crunched.
Yes. You know what?
Great balance by Washington yesterday. They had 198 yards passing, 166 yards rushing. They were 7 of 16.
They ran the
third
ball
down.
38 times. They ran the ball 38 times. Taylor Heineke did just enough, just what he needed to do to get the job done. He's only sacked once. Offensive line held up.
You know what tells the tale of this game? Time of possession. 37 minutes for Washington, 22 minutes for the Packers.
Packers ran the ball.
That's it.
Number 1, Packers ran the ball 12 times. Number 2, they switched up their offensive line yesterday. It was all over the news about how they were going to make this big switch on the offensive line. Didn't work. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon could not keep a drive going. Point blank period. A.J. Dillon has essentially become a non-factor in this offense over the last 3 weeks. That's what I've come to
Here's what they do with him. He's a power guy.
Yes, and guess what? It ain't
power guy
working,
who's
dude.
running between the tackles. Guess what? They're
ain't
weak in
working.
between the tackles.
It ain't
They can't
fucking
run the
working.
fucking football between the tackles.
Lazard ain't a number one receiver. Sammy Watkins is not a number 2 receiver anymore. Robert Tonyan just isn't that good.
And what is all this crying?
What?
This Robert Tonyan guy, I'm watching this guy crying on that last play. They barely touched him. Another bad calls in games. I watched a fucking roughing the passer on Aaron Rodgers. The guy pulled his jersey, and they called him for roughing the passer. He was falling down, pulled his jersey, and he got called for roughing the passer. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Once again, the NFL referees are fucking awful. They need to stop going by Roger Goodell's protocol and this don't touch a quarterback. If they touch a quarterback, throw a flag. That shit needs to fucking stop.
Well,
I'm so tired of it. I watched Heineke get fucking blockbustered twice, and they didn't throw a flag on it. So I don't get it. I don't get it.
Here's the thing. You know who they're going to protect. This is roughing the passer thing. No, if Taylor Heineke gets flatlined, are they going to be – is everybody on the field going to throw the flag? No. If Aaron Rodgers gets flatlined, is everybody on the field going to throw the flag? Absolutely. Period. It's just that's how it's going to go.
It needs to fucking
You want to
stop.
know something? I think the Commanders looked more inspiring yesterday with Taylor Heineke at quarterback than they did with Carson Wentz.
I agree.
That's it.
I agree with that.
You had the answer the whole time. Move on from fucking Wentz. He's injury prone. He's prone to having awful games. He's not good at the end of games making the right decision. I think the Commanders had the answer in front of them the whole time. And especially you're going into a rebuild and you might have an ownership change and all the above. Let's just give Taylor Heineke the credit he deserves. The guy played a good game.
Guy played his ass off.
Yeah. And he's
Plays with
good
a lot
enough
of
to get
intensity.
them.
His passes look like wounded ducks.
Mm-hmm.
His passes look like if somehow they get to where they got to go.
Well, he looked better than Jared Goff yesterday.
Absolutely. I'd rather have Heineke here.
Another one of my favorite games of the week. Jacksonville hosted the 5-1 Giants.
This was a good game.
This was a great game. And you want to know what? It literally came down to 1 yard. To one
Literally
fucking
1
yard. And I was watching it, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, my God, they're going to do this. They're going to do this. I picked Jacksonville. Uncle Sam picked the Giants.
Of course, the Giants.
I thought, I'm sitting there at the end watching it, and I was like, oh, my God, I cannot wait to talk about this game tomorrow. Literally, Christian Kirk had the ball at the 1, and it took 4 Giants defenders to sit there and drag him back 5 yards. The offensive lineman rushing down the field to push the pile just didn't get there in time. And you know what? I'll give it to...
And he fumbled. He did fumble on that play.
Did he?
Yeah, they didn't,
It didn't matter
it didn't matter.
Point,
he was stuffed. But he did fumble, and the Giants did recover. So even if that play would have went forward, it would have been Giants ball. But let me tell you something. Daniel Jones impressed the living shit out of me yesterday. And I'm going to tell you why. This guy had 30 attempts. He had 202 yards and a touchdown.
Hold on.
Did not turn the ball over. He had 107 yards on the ground in the rushing.
How the fuck did that happen?
What the fuck?
I guess I was watching it.
Yeah. He looked like for those of you who are under the age of fucking 30 or 40, Fran Tarkenton was a quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
In the 70s. So,
between
guess what?
Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones and Matt Breida, I mean, shit. They went for 240 yards on the ground. Barkley.
And this is why this team continues. They don't feel there's a game that they're out of. Because I actually thought Jacksonville had taken control of this game. It was going to fucking win this game. And they just they would not quit. They would not quit. And I'm going to give that to Brian Daboll. That's a fucking football coach right there. He took a team with a shit roster that their best defensive back was traded to Philadelphia, and this guy's fucking winning football games.
I mean, yes, they are. But I'm sorry, I can't buy into this yet. I cannot buy into it. I can't.
What can't you buy into?
Well, Wendell Robinson blew out his knee yesterday.
We know they got a great running back. We knew
Correct.
That.
You know Saquon Barkley, if he stays healthy, is going to do what he's doing.
Outside Barkley, dude, what wide receivers does Daniel Jones have?
Nobody. And the thing is, now Wendell Robinson is believed to have torn his ACL. They're waiting to hear back today. Yeah. So now, I mean, it's what Darius Slayton and Chris Myrick and fucking Daniel Bellinger and Matt Breida and
Well, Bellinger went out with he took a fucking thumb to the eye, and he had to go to the hospital.
oh, he's fucking blind now. They're gonna have blind man in at tight end. I mean, you know when you play Madden and you're in franchise mode and you get to like the year 2035 and you just have a bunch of random names because everybody else is retired and you have no idea. That's what the Giants wide receiving core is like. It's like you're in 2037 in Madden and you don't know who's left. I mean, realistically, I just can't get behind the fact that this is sustainable. Period. It was like watching, you remember what I said when the Lions were going into New England? I said, I can't live in a world where the Lions continue this.
Yeah.
Now
That's exactly what happened.
I can't live in a world where the Giants continue this.
Listen.
And the Jaguars gave them it was so close. Literally, Christian
Giants put the points up when it mattered.
Fell the right way.
Quarter. They put 10 up in the fourth quarter.
Yes, the
to win
Giants.
this fucking game.
And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will continue. Giants are in a bye week next week, then play Houston at home, then play the Lions at home. So now we're in a situation where where the Giants could end up being 8-1.
Yes.
Realistically, they could end up being 8-1
for the fucking.
Well, yeah, and then they're at Dallas, at home against Washington, at home against Philly. Yeah.
That division could put. Listen, this division could have 2 teams in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, the one that we thought was going to be the absolute worst. Yeah. I mean, you have to figure they're out of conference games going forward. Are Houston, Detroit, Minnesota, and Indy, which are all
winnable games.
Which are all winnable. Yeah, and they still play. Winnable. They still play Dallas once, Washington twice, and Philadelphia twice. Which, let's say they split with Dallas and split with Philly. That's 2 losses, and let's say they drop one out of conference game. That puts them at 4 L's on the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, them and Philadelphia are going to be right there neck and neck now. And
Dallas ain't out of the picture yet either. Dallas is 5-2.
Yes, Dallas is still very much in it, but I think one of these teams is going to have to just beat up on the other one twice to solidify their spot, and I don't know which one that's going to be. I don't think the Giants are built very well to go against Philadelphia. That worries me.
Yeah,
I just don't see it. But at the end of the day, that division has a very easy schedule this year, playing the NFC North and the AFC South. I'll say that much. And the Giants I don't know why, but they're going to have to start losing games. It doesn't I can't comprehend it. Like, I cannot comprehend. Like, it was like the Lions thing. Just like I said, I couldn't live in a world where the Lions were playing this well. I can't live in a world where the Giants, with this
but the
horrendous
Lions
of a
were playing
roster.
well, but they were still losing.
I'm aware.
Because their coach is fucking inept.
Yes.
This team is playing okay.
But why?
With a really good coach.
Why?
They're coached very well, dude.
Yes, that's great, but they don't there's no talent.
But it doesn't matter. They got good coaching.
Fuck.
That's what good coaching does.
Well, then, if you're the Detroit Lions,
good coaching
take notes.
Overdoes talent.
Next up, we have, in a game that I really, really thought the Browns were going to take, and I don't know why I said it, but remember,
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't understand. I'm going to say this once. Nick Chubb gets you all the way down the fucking field. You get to the fucking red zone and you take him out. What the living fuck is wrong with you assholes? You deserve to lose your fucking job as a fucking offensive coordinator or a head coach to take this guy out of the game every time you get inside the 20. I don't fucking get it.
Why?
Now, you can go ahead and talk about it from here out.
Because they want to keep Kareem Hunt's utilization up. And that's what he's supposed to be, is the red zone guy.
Break.
It is time to just let him sail off in the sunset. Use him when you need to. Nick Chubb, 16 rushes, 91 yards, averaging 5.7 yards per carry and a touchdown. It was fabulous.
I'm going to say this. They lost this game
because he only had 16 rushes.
Fucking red zone.
Correct.
They don't run the football.
No.
And I don't fucking get it.
I agree.
I
agree. Doesn't make sense.
It makes absolutely zero sense to me. You got your best target hurt yesterday.
David Njoku, unfortunately, now is dealing with an injury. He was 7 for 7 for 71. Amari Cooper, 3 receptions, 74. DPJ, 6 for 71. They did not go to him enough.
And he had an offensive pass interference that negated a touchdown, basically.
But let's stop here and talk about this real quick. Jacoby Brissett, 22 for 27, 258 yards. That's 81% passing. Yeah. No touchdowns, no picks, and he was sacked 5 times. And he still had a QBR of 107. So Jacoby Brissett is giving you everything that he is capable of giving, period. Why is Nick Chubb running the ball 16 times? We said it last week.
This guy needs to get the ball 20 to 25
he needs
to
25 carries
a game.
He needs 25 carries a game. It's that easy. You're winning these close games.
He leads the league in rushing.
We know what Cleveland is. They are Nick Chubb
carries a game. The guy leads the league in rushing.
Correct, because Nick Chubb will go for 85 yards a game.
Let me tell you something,
no
man.
Asked.
Gus Edwards, you made the call yesterday on Gus Edwards.
Yes, I did.
And
I'm glad I did.
And guess who has Gus Edwards?
Me.
And who didn't play him?
Well, because I have Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler, so it's tough.
That's a joke.
I got bye weeks coming up. Gus Edwards will be utilized. Gus Edwards, 16 rushes, 66 yards, average 4 yards a carry.
Lamar Jackson.
2 touchdowns in his first game back since 2020. Here's the thing. This is great that the Ravens won. This is great that the Ravens now, I believe, are sitting them in Cincinnati are realistically
they're leading the division.
They are leading the division, okay? And we're in a situation now where they are probably going to compete for a playoff spot, but unfortunately, they cannot put a team away. Period. If you go look at this is the Ravens' fatal flaw here. Week 1 against the Jets, when I believe Zach Wilson went down, correct? He got hurt in week 1 against Baltimore, right? They won 24-9. Great.
I thought he was hurt
nice game.
before that.
Miami lost by 4. Then they beat New England by 9. Then they lose to Buffalo by 3. Then they beat Cincinnati by 2. Then they lose to the Giants by 4. Then they beat Cleveland by 3. Baltimore is playing down to whatever level of talent they're going up against. And ultimately, they are only winning games by 2 or 3 points. And then when they lose a game, they lose by 3 or 4 points.
Right.
So that's an issue for me, and I don't trust Baltimore right now. I was very, very high on them at the beginning of the year, and now I think this is Cincinnati's Division II lose going forward, simply for the fact that Baltimore cannot put anybody away, and Lamar Jackson is unfortunately playing down to his competition. That's the end of it. He had 16 attempts, 9 completions, 120 yards. He's not throwing the ball well. And this has been it's the same song and dance every year. Period.
Well, Bateman was back for this game.
Didn't do anything.
He
4 receptions, 42 yards.
Right. I mean, let's put it for what it is.
They don't have a wide receiver.
This guy does not have a healthy, real number 1 wide receiver to throw to.
No, and that's an issue.
Since Hollywood Brown left.
That's an issue. They don't have a receiver at all. Point blank, Devin Duvernay, Rashad Bateman, and HR Puff and stuff aren't going to get it done. Andrews was hurt yesterday. He was barely on the field. And I mean, without him, the offense just doesn't click. They got this W, but I think it's a scary W.
Speaking of injuries that I'm really fucking wondering and hoping that it's nothing serious is the next game we're going to talk about, and that's the New York Jets, who just keep continuing to win. Breece Hall had 4 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown. It went out with a knee injury.
Yeah.
It looked like it's possibly serious,
yeah,
like an MCL. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's a strain, and this guy can continue to do what he's doing because he's been phenomenal this year.
Well, I think...
And I don't think a lot of guys, the 2 running backs that people that went in the second round are really worth the money that they were fucking worth the pick that they were picked at.
Yeah, him and Kenneth Walker both had a great day. I think the Jets are going to be missing Breece Hall here a little bit for the next couple of games.
They do have Michael Carter.
Yeah, Michael Carter's serviceable. I don't see why not.
Is he Breece Hall talent? No.
At the end of the day, the problem with the Jets is one, they should not have really won this game
Okay.
because Denver played fucking awful. And hold on, I know what you're going to say, so give me a second. I will get there. Zach Wilson did not play well. He was sacked 3 times. He threw for 121 yards. That's not enough to get the job done. Their receiving core didn't look inspiring yesterday. Obviously, you know what I'm going to say. Braxton Berrios looked better than everybody else on the field. Garrett Wilson couldn't get open.
Braxton Berrios always looks better than everybody else on the field. I can attest to that. I've seen it in person.
Garrett Wilson couldn't get open. And once Brees went out, Michael Carter pretty much ran the ball 13 times and averaged 2 yards per carry. That's an issue. But
They also went up against probably one of the top defenses in the league.
It is what it is. It's the same song and dance every week with Denver. Yes, I know what you're going to say. Oh, Brett Rippon, he had a pretty good game. He looked pretty good out there.
I actually thought he looked like shit.
Oh, wow. I'm shocked that you were going to say that. I figured you were going to be all about him.
He threw the ball for 46 throws. He completed 24 passes. That's garbage.
I'm aware, but those are usually the guys you get behind.
That's a Matt Stafford fucking.
That is a Stafford stat line.
Stafford stat line right here.
No touchdowns.
No touchdowns and a pick. That is a Stafford fucking line.
They're incapable of running the ball. And you want to know what
Jerry Jeudy, I feel so sorry for this kid. And let me tell you why. Russell Wilson was missing him the first fucking 4 games of the season. The guy was wide open, throwing his fucking hands in the air, throwing his helmet up into the stands because he's wide open on every play. And they just get.
Rippon was able to find him yesterday.
Huh?
Rippon was able to find Jeudy.
He was.
7 receptions, 96 yards. I'll tell you what, to me, the offense looked more functional with Brett Rippon than it does with Russell Wilson.
I agree with that.
At the end of the day, the passing game for the Broncos looked better. This was the best we have seen it this year. Put a stamp on it. This is the Broncos' downfall. They cannot run the football.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams couldn't do it before he got hurt, and now you have Melvin Gordon, the ghost of motherfucking Latavius Murray, and they are not
most effective back.
Mike Boone yesterday, they only gave him 4 touches.
He got hurt.
Did he go down?
Yeah.
I must have missed that one. But then I'm watching Latavius Murray and Melvin Gordon out there with fucking canes trying to get down the field. Get somebody young. There's got to be somebody out there you can toss up in there, other than the ghost of fucking Latavius Murray. Let's.
Oh, by the way, Todd Gurley retired. I think
he didn't officially retire. He said he was no longer going to play football.
He said he's not playing football.
Which I don't know what the difference is there.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't get that either.
R.I.P. Todd Gurley.
Just putting his name out there for these teams that need a running back.
Yeah, maybe he'll be in a Broncos uniform next week. You never know.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the Broncos will be carried by their defense, but the problem is their offense is so awful. If you're going to be a team that's carried by your defense.
I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I think the Jets have done a mistake by letting Zach Wilson continue.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know they're invested in him, but let me tell you something. Offensively, they were a lot better with Joe Flacco.
Hold on. Say you own a football team, right?
Okay.
You spend billions of dollars to do this.
Yeah.
And the coach comes to you and he says, "Hey,
money aspect of
I'm not." And the coach says, "Hey, we're going to let Joe Flacco come in and lead this thing." Joe Flacco.
But obviously Zach Wilson.
Joe Flacco is Trent Dilfer reincarnated.
Wait a minute now. I actually think Joe Flacco's a little better than Trent Dilfer. But let me tell you like this. Zach Wilson should have been on the sidelines watching Joe Flacco play football. Because this kid here, I don't know what the fuck he's thinking. I don't get it.
He's like a cowboy out there. It's the Wild West. He's whipping it around. I agree with you.
Are you trying to tell me he's trying to be Brett Favre?
Yes.
But he doesn't have the arm of Brett Favre.
Correct.
And
so
he
it's
doesn't have the
kind of
balls.
ugly.
The balls are the hammer of Brett Favre because we've all seen it.
Yeah, we all saw it. I wouldn't necessarily call that a hammer, but I don't know. And this is the other thing. Like, it's the same thing that I felt about the Giants and the same thing I felt about the Lions. The Jets should not continue. It just doesn't make sense. This is a 5-2 football team. Are you joking? Are you fucking kidding?
They're that good.
They are not that good. And you want to know something else?
I bought into Gang Green.
Denver
Robert
should.
Saleh's got them guys playing their ass off.
I agree with that.
Defensively,
And you know what?
They're stout defensively.
I will commend both coaches in New York, but I will not commend those teams yet. In a couple weeks, when I inevitably think the Giants will be, fucking 10-2, then we will have a conversation.
Okay.
I think the wheels fall off the Jets, especially without Breece Hall. I think that's it.
I'm a little worried about the Breece Hall thing too.
And Denver,
I'm not gonna lie.
Denver shouldn't even have 2 wins. Denver realistically should not even have 2 wins. And you know what? Going forward, they played.
They took the Chargers to 2 overtime games.
Well,
I don't know how, but they did. Their defense.
who did? The Broncos only played the Chargers.
They played them
once.
twice.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. They
No,
took
they
them to overtime twice.
They haven't played them twice.
Oh, I
They
thought
play
they
them the last game of the year. But the Chargers now don't really fucking. We'll talk about that, but they're not.
We'll get there in a minute, but
They're not
first
really
I'd
doing
like to,
anything for me right
First,
now.
I'd like to give a big shout out to my man Derek Carr.
Oh God,
He's tough as nails. Derek.
they were
Carr.
playing the fucking Texans. They were playing the
He's tough
Texans.
as nails. He went down, got up, had to leave the game, came back in, and had a really nice stat line.
They were playing the Texans, who are now, because Carolina somehow pulled off the miraculous victory yesterday. Now we can officially say the Texans are the worst team in football again. We can go back to that now.
Oh, no, I think the Detroit Lions are the worst team in football.
They're
To be
making
honest with you.
they're making a fight for it. Derek
Okay.
Carr, 21 for 27, 241 yards, a touchdown.
That's a nice stat line right there. That's a nice stat line. Solid.
Yeah, it was
Solid.
very close to Brett Rippon.
Josh Jacobs.
20
was a
rushes.
fucking
Josh Jacobs,
monster.
the dog.
My God, that guy was a monster. Yes.
Josh Jacobs.
You called that one last week. You said Josh Jacobs was going to fucking,
He
and he did everything that you said.
It was a perfect matchup for him against Houston. He had 20 carries, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns. Absolute fabulous.
And
career
I
day
know
out of
you don't
Josh
like
Jacobs.
the Pierce kid from Houston, but I'll tell you what.
It's not that I, don't.
watched him. He runs fucking hard.
It's not that I don't like Damian Pierce. I wouldn't say that at all. The problem I have with Damian Pierce is that there's nothing else around him to polish him up. You know what I'm saying? So
He's got Philip Dorsett. Who?
I didn't think
did I
Philip
just say?
Dorsett was still in the league.
What's the Brandon Cooks?
Jordan Atkins.
They lost Nico Collins. He went out hurt
Did he?
yesterday.
Ah,
Does anybody
damn.
even know who I just said? The 3 guys I just said. Does anybody know who they are? Anyone?
Oh, God.
Anyone?
Devontae Adams, 8 receptions, 95 yards. Renfro had
Nice game.
3 receptions, 55. Mac Hollins, 2 receptions, 44 yards, got the touchdown. You know what? This is what we
was a good
expect.
game for them.
This is what we
This is
expect
what
out of
they
the Raiders.
needed. This is what the Raiders needed to turn that corner.
Yeah.
They were 1-4. There's no way that they're that bad.
No.
They have a very good team.
But they needed this
Yes,
badly.
they needed it.
Badly.
They needed the win. They put a lot of points. They put 38 up. They needed this bad.
And you want to know something going forward? I mean, they're at New Orleans, at Jacksonville, against Indy, Denver again, Seattle.
All these games are very winnable for them.
Yeah, they could win their next 6, and it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
And then they got the Chargers, the Rams, New England, Pittsburgh.
Everybody needs to figure out what the fuck is going on with the Chargers here.
I mean,
Because let me tell you something. The scumbag-led fucking Seattle Seahawks went in there and absolutely popped them.
couple of things.
They finger popped them. And I don't even know what to say right now.
Couple of things that I noticed real quick about the Chargers. One, I don't think they're coached well.
Oh, really?
I don't think they're coached well. I think we can officially say that because on talent, the last 2 seasons, you have a team that on the books should be in the Super Bowl.
I will say this about the Chargers.
Yes, they've got injuries. So does every other team in football.
They have injuries to their offensive line, just like Tampa and just like other teams that are really affecting them. And I'm going to tell you something. Justin Herbert does not look himself.
Well, Jesus Christ, he's throwing the ball 50.
I know he's got broken
His
ribs.
fucking arm is going to fall off. He's throwing the ball 55 times a game.
Last 3 games, he threw the ball over 50 times.
I mean, you can't have
do that with
and
him.
the problem I have with it is you have Austin Eckler. Just give Austin Eckler carries. Give
He
him
had
carries.
53 yards rushing yesterday.
Well, yes, because you have a running back who's your leading receiver every week. Give him some carries.
Yeah.
Just let him go. Let him go. It is going to take more than 8 or 9 carries every week to get the offense. They don't run the football. They do not run the football. You cannot rely. Justin Herbert is going to implode. He will implode. It's going to happen.
Time of possession, people don't think much of it. I personally think a lot of it. And
Well, because time of possession is a perfect.
34 minutes for the fucking Seattle Seahawks.
Well, yeah, because
At 26 minutes for the Chargers.
the best way
Keep
to
him
judge
off the field.
the best way to judge if a team can run the football or not is by time of possession, and it's very apparent in that the Chargers could not run the football and
They
stay
got
on the
hammered
field.
for 214 yards on the ground against a very good Charger defense.
Yes, against
I will say-
and they're missing Joey Bosa big time.
Yes.
Big time. But Kenneth Walker, fabulous day. 23 attempts, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. Glad I traded him away.
Thank you.
And Geno Smith, realistically,
Look
is
at his numbers.
just doing enough to
Just
win
doing
games.
enough to
Yep.
win. He
105 QBR, 20 completions, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 2 sacks. But he's doing just enough to win.
He dropped a dime on the Goodwin kid, Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, he had a good little game.
He dropped a dime on
yesterday.
him. That was one of the nicest throws I've seen all year.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a perfect throw.
can't argue with you there.
And if he's only throwing 20 times or 27 times a game, that's all he needs to do.
Yes, that's all he
He's
needs to
not
do.
pushing it. He's not pressing it. And I like that about him.
And good thing he started to find Marquise Goodwin because DK Metcalf carted off with
He
a
went
knee
down
injury.
with a knee injury. They don't know if it's serious or not yet,
That's
but it doesn't look good for him.
it looked.
Let me tell you something.
It didn't look good.
It doesn't matter because he still has the reliable one there, who I think
Tyler
a lot
Lockett,
of people
baby.
don't. I don't think he gets the praise he deserves. Tyler Lockett is a man. He is a man in a man's game,
Yeah,
and he's been solid his whole career.
good dude.
You know what? You know what they need to do? If I was Denver, I would throw the books and try to get Tyler Lockett away from the Seattle scumbags. So that way you can bring him into Denver to where Russell Wilson actually has a guy he could trust.
You want me to be honest with you? I think this Russell Wilson thing in Denver is going to be over before people know.
They're locked in. You said it yourself. $160 million guaranteed.
I mean, I don't. What the Jesus Christ?
Yeah, they're fucked.
Well, it's okay. Rob Walton can afford it. Next up, we have a fabulous Sunday night football matchup between
God.
the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett, another 3-interception game. Najee Harris,
I'll
another
say this,
big
though,
old
about
nothing
Kenny
burger.
Pickett. Let me tell you something.
Oh, you're gonna pull the Brett Rippon on Kenny Pickett?
Hold on a minute. Kenny Pickett is going to have growing pains. We know this. If you think that's bad, how would you like to be Tennessee and have to start fucking what's his name who cost him the fucking
Malik
game?
Willis.
Malik Willis on that stupid end around that he fumbled the ball and it cost him the fucking game yesterday. I mean, Malik Willis, they got him in there as a wide receiver going to take a fucking handoff to run the ball. When you got Derrick Henry. At what point does Mike Vrabel, and I don't mean to go back to that game, get called out for something stupid like that when you got a guy like Derrick Henry in the backfield?
Well, I think they're just trying to utilize him at the end of the day. That's what they're trying to
but
do.
it cost him the football game. Stupid.
Well, Pickett, 32 completions on 44 attempts, 257 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, 2 sacks. Najee Harris, 17 attempts, 65 yards. That's his normal stat line now every week.
Their offensive line is not good.
Freiermuth, 8 receptions, 75. Pickens, 6 for 6, 61, and a touchdown. Supposedly Chase Claypool is about to get traded. I guess we'll see that. They're shopping him.
Rated
They're shopping him very heavily from what I was reading last night.
for draft picks?
Correct, for capital.
Capital.
Deontay Johnson, 5 receptions, 42 yards. And I think they should at this point. I mean, Pickens kind of assumed that number 1 role, which puts Deontay Johnson at the number 2 role. And
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's how it's going to play out going forward. Pickett and Pickens have the rapport.
What did you think of Tua last night?
Okay. Personally,
Was
to
it just
me,
me, or did he look?
he did
rough?
not look himself.
No,
He did not look himself. Honest to God, you remember I
he
was
looked tentative.
when he got hit originally, right? So the Thursday night game, this is the 4 days after the hit game. That's how I think he looked personally. I remember he came out. Tua was averaging 73% passing. I don't think he was very accurate last night. He looked a little bit timid. There was that one run he had though, and he put down his shoulder and he laid it all out to try and fight for the extra yard. So I'll give him that much. But I think that's not necessarily a bad thing because they're integrating him back in the way that
I
they
like
should.
that. And I'm going to tell you what I'm impressed with is Mostert.
I agree.
Raheem Mostert,
I
that
agree.
kid runs hard runner. I don't think they would have won this game without him.
Agree 1,000%.
Because nobody else could step up and get the production on the ground that this kid can get.
No, yeah. 16 rushes, 79 yards, average 4.9 per carry for Mozart.
They
Tua,
had to settle for field goals. I'll say this about Pittsburgh's defense. They held them to 3 field goals that should have been touchdowns.
yes, they
And
did.
It should have been actually a
did.
blowout.
They did. But
Pittsburgh's defense really stepped up.
Miami was also playing a lot more conservatively than we're used to them playing. I will say that.
Yeah.
Mozart also picked up the lone touchdown on a reception. He was 4 for 30 and a tud there. Tua, 21 for 35, 60%. 261 yards, a touchdown, no picks, and he was not sacked. Thank God, because he probably would have shattered. Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 88 yards. Tyreek Hill, 7 receptions, 72 yards. And it's just enough to get by. And you know what? When you're playing Pittsburgh, just do enough to get by. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to do much
You wind up
against
making
you.
mistakes and you lose.
Correct.
Like Tampa did.
And you know what? I think it's good that Miami has Tua back because they look a lot more well-rounded with him than they did with Teddy Bridgewater. And they play the Lions, the Bears, and the Browns going forward. And then they're on a bye. So guess what? They'll probably win the next 4. And they're going to be right there in that playoff picture because I think the Jets are going to fall off a little bit. And then you're going to have those 2 teams really competing for that second playoff spot.
You had three teams that were on buys this week. The 5-1 Bills.
You had 4 teams on buys this week.
Well, you had 4 teams on a bye, but 3 of them with winning records. The 5-1 Bills, the 5-1 Vikings, and the 6-0 Philadelphia Eagles that did not play this week. So going forward next week, we'll see what happens because I think any game right now is a hard game to call.
Can I make a bold prediction here?
Sure.
And we'll obviously talk about this much more on the weekend show, but Pittsburgh is going to beat Philadelphia this weekend.
I don't see that happening.
We'll have to break that one
Is it
down.
at Philly or at Pittsburgh?
It is at Pittsburgh, I believe.
That's a rivalry game, and I don't
Yeah.
see that happening.
I think that it might be. This might be the
I don't know.
week. This might be the week.
They had a hard time with the Dolphins. They're going to have a real hard time with the Eagles.
Anything else?
Well, I'd like to just say what a complete and utter disappointment I am with the officiating. I cannot stand officiating in the NFL right now. I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Something needs to stop. They need to make all of these roughing the passer. I can't stand games being cost on stupid calls that continue drives. That drive should be stopped. And I think it's changing the outcome of the games. That is a bad fucking thing. I don't like it, and it's not right. These officials are missing calls left and right, and for some reason, New York is supposed to catch all these mistakes with the officiating team in New York, and it's not even being looked at. That needs to be fucking addressed. Roger Goodell is a fucking clown. I don't like the rules. It all needs to fucking stop. I am all for player safety, but when you're gonna put aprons and bibs on these guys, you're fucking stopping them from playing. This is why you see the rashes of injuries, because these guys are not playing all out. They're hesitating, and when you hesitate, you get hurt. We were taught that from a young age. When we started playing football, don't ever hesitate. Go full out. You'll be fine. You will not get hurt like you are if you hesitate. And this needs to fucking stop. I don't care what anybody else says. This is what I feel. I've played football. Anybody who's played any kind of football knows that if you can't go full out, you will get hurt. Everybody knows that. And this is why you see these rash of bullshit, hamstring injuries, this, that, knee injuries, is because of the hesitation. It's because of the hesitation. Because these guys are not allowed to play full out. It's bullshit. It needs to fucking stop. Listen, they all know what they signed up for. They make a shit ton of money. They have medical stuff. They have retirement plans now. It all needs to fucking stop. Stop being afraid of being sued and put the rules back to the way they were, because it's worse now than it was 20 years ago.
Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure you go subscribe on YouTube and watch us there. And if you're watching us, you probably already know where to listen to us. Thank you guys so much for listening. You will hear from Uncle Sam and Bruce on Thursday for another edition of Fantasy Frenzy. I'll be gone. See you guys on Saturday.